would say that the last few months have been some of the most transformative of my life. And that's because I decided to start many of the things that I've always wanted to do. I spent several weeks looking into what I really wanted out of life and decided to execute on it. And because I decided to start, I'm slowly but surely seeing progress in many areas of my life. So today I want to go over the power of simply starting on what you've always wanted to accomplish, but have simply always put it off. And the first thing I want to go over is something I like to call the power of adaptation. It's part of human nature that we always want to be in the most comfortable state as possible. And this is why so many of us have a problem with procrastination. It's easy for us to put off that assignment or project. It's easy for us to watch TV shows all day and not do work. And it's easy for us to sleep in and wake up at noon. But if you do that, even though in the short term, it may feel like your life is great, you're going to look back afterwards and realize you made no progress at all. You've exchanged short-term enjoyment for long-term progress and growth. And what's worse is that the longer you stay in this comfortable stage, the harder it is to get out. Your body tells you that what you're doing is comfortable and that you should keep doing it. What used to be a rest day suddenly turns into a rest week, which then suddenly turns into a rest month, and might eventually go on into a year. And when you finally realize what's happened, you'll take a look at your peers and realize you've fallen so far behind. All of the goals and ambitions you had in life suddenly seem a lot further than they were before. And that's the funny thing about us humans. We don't like change, yet we thrive on it. Once we get past that initial state of hardship, many times we'll look back and say that it was all worth it. And in the end, we feel so much happier than what we felt going through that short-term stage of comfortability. Because when we decide to change, our body and mind find ways to adapt. What used to be hard work eventually becomes comfortable and slowly becomes our daily routine. You get bigger and stronger at the gym because your mind and body have adapted. Other people will see you and tell you that you've made progress. More often than not, it's our mind that adapts to the work that we give it. The days where you have to work 10 to 12 hours per day and you need to push yourself to keep going, or when you force yourself into social situations that you're uncomfortable with, you're training your mind to adapt to the negative responses that you're going to receive at first. And unfortunately, in order to improve at anything, you're going to have to go through a period where you're super uncomfortable in order to allow your mind and body to adapt. And as you're going through this process, it may seem like you're not going anywhere, but at the end, you usually surprise yourself with how far you've come. But the most important thing that needs to happen is that you need to start, which is what we're going to talk about next. So at first glance, simply starting on something may seem like it's not helping you much when you have an essay or a project that you need to finish. Writing out a few sentences on a 12-page paper that you need to accomplish doesn't seem like you've done much of anything. But you see, once you start a task and you've gone past the barrier of, starting, you might find yourself entering the zone. And this usually applies to larger tasks. Let me explain. So when you enter a zone and you're completing a task for a certain amount of time, it becomes, dare I say, hard to stop what you're doing. Everything that you've been complaining about doing before suddenly becomes natural. And this happens many times in sports. When you watch an NBA game and you see a player shoot 60 points in a game, they enter this flow state where they start gaining momentum, and everything that used to be super hard suddenly becomes a lot easier. The essay that you were working on and complaining about not having any ideas to write about, once you enter that flow state, you're suddenly bombarded with ideas left and right, and your fingers seem to naturally know what to type. And as you're going through it, many times it may feel like a magical experience. But by simply starting, you give yourself the chance to enter the zone and surprise yourself with the amount of work that you're able to finish that maybe you never thought was possible. But the zone might not necessarily work for every task. Even though you might go to the gym one day and feel like you're in the zone and everything suddenly becomes super easy, that's not going to necessarily be the case for every time you go to the gym. Other days, it may just be a bad day and you end up having a crappy gym session where everything just doesn't feel right. So other than just simply starting, you need to push yourself to go to that gym and work out every single week. If you continue for just a month, I know that you're going to see changes happen to your body, especially if you're just starting out. Why am I so sure? Because I've done this for myself these past couple of weeks. And if you want to see a video about that process, subscribe down below because it's coming very soon. And many times, the reason that we don't start on what we want to accomplish is because we might be overwhelmed with the stressors that might come with starting something new. The task might be too hard, or there might be too much work that we need to finish. If you're starting a business, you might be too worried about the competition. Or if you want to diet, you might see the foods that you're going to have to start eating and see all the foods that you're going to have to stop eating, and so you want to immediately quit. And I think part of the reason we're so worried about these things is because we're impatient and we're too eager to accomplish the task we have at hand. But many times starting is the hardest step that we need to take. I found for me that if I stick with a task that I need to do to improve myself, and I stick with it for 10 minutes, after I've done it, it becomes less overwhelming, even if it's just a little bit. So I would encourage you to try this pattern. Find a task that you've always wanted to do and tell yourself that you're going to stick with it for 10 minutes. If afterwards you find that the task doesn't get any easier, feel free to come back to this video and roast me down in the comments below. I really wanted to make this video because over the past few months, I've really felt the effects of simply starting on things that I've always wanted to do. And I feel that has helped both my mental strength and my physical strength. And I know that once you've trained yourself to build up discipline, the sky's really the limit on what you're going to be able to accomplish. I hope that this information helped out in some way, or maybe encouraged or motivated you, because that's what the goal of this video really is. And if it did, if you wouldn't mind going down to the bottom right and clicking the like button, it really helps me out a lot. Hopefully this is something that you all can implement into your New Year's resolutions. This video is a bit different than the ones I've filmed in the past. It's a bit more serious and laid back, and even though it may not look like it, I had a blast filming it. If you would like to see more of this type of content from me, let me know down in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your family and friends if you think they can benefit from it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video.